I declare that the 521st Convocation of McMaster University for the conferring of degrees is now in session.
Please be seated. Good afternoon. I am David Wilkinson, the Provost and Vice President Academic at McMaster. This afternoon, I have the great pleasure of acting as your Master of Ceremonies and of welcoming you all to Convocation. Before we start our formal program, may I first ask everyone in the hall to switch off any electronic device that may ring or beep during the ceremony. I would now like to call upon our Chancellor, Dr. Linton Wilson, to make his welcoming remarks.
A very good afternoon to you all. President and Vice Chancellor, Provost, our honorary graduands, members of the platform party, graduands, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to this 521st Convocation of McMaster University. To our graduates, congratulations on your successes on reaching an important milestone, an exciting milestone in your lives. Many of you will begin careers, embarking on new journeys. Some of you will be continuing your education, training, or preparation for more advanced or specialized activities. The very best of luck to each and every one of you. To the parents, grandparents, family members, spouses, and friends here today, I invite you to take a bow as well. You can be proud of the roles you've played in the accomplishments being recognized in this convocation. To our faculty and staff, today marks tangible recognition of your efforts, particularly the successes of your students evident in this ceremony. Thank you and congratulations. This is a day of celebration. I wish you all an enjoyable afternoon. Thank you.
I would now like to introduce Dr. Patrick Dean, President and Vice Chancellor, who will be presenting our honorary degree recipients.
Mr. Chancellor, by the authority of the Senate of McMaster University, I have the honor to present John Paul Jack Evans. Jack Evans joined McMaster University as Registrar and Secretary of the University Senate in 1966, and for the next 25 years played key leadership roles in the evolution of the university. He served as Assistant Vice President, Academic Services, then Associate Vice President, University Services. In both of these positions, he maintained his responsibilities as Secretary of Senate until 1984, when he became Secretary to the McMaster Board of Governors. He retired from McMaster in September 1991. While Mr. Evans never held a job at McMaster with the word student in its title, generations of McMaster students, student leaders, and fellow university administrators recognize him as one of the key university figures in McMaster student life, along with icons like Les Prince, Marion Bates, Mary Keyes, and Rudy Heinzel. In 1981, working with then University President Alvin Lee, he established the Student Government Administration Consultation Committee as a regular discussion forum for senior leaders of the university administration, the McMaster Students' Union, and the Inter-Residence Council, and later the Graduate Students Association and McMaster Association of Part-Time Students as well. Also among his key contributions, Mr. Evans was a leader in establishing the McMaster Community Homes Corporation for social housing and graduate student housing in Dundas, helping to bring campus construction projects like Head and Hall to fruition, and guiding what we now know as the McMaster University Student Center project through its challenging early stages. On the occasion of his retirement, friends and colleagues created the John P. Evans Travel Scholarship to commemorate the impact he had had on McMaster and its students. Following his retirement, Mr. Evans served 2 years as the general manager for the Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum. His career before McMaster included positions as a security analyst with North American Life Assurance Company, a researcher for the Royal Commission on Banking and Finance, and an economist with the Bank of Nova Scotia. He then became assistant registrar at the University of Toronto, his alma mater, the position that was his springboard to McMaster. Mr. Evans, who was involved in the Boy Scouts Association of Canada's Hamilton District Council for 3 decades, including serving as president, has received honorary membership from both the McMaster Students' Union and the McMaster University Alumni Association. He continued his service to the university community in the late 1990s and early 2000s as a member of the executive of the McMaster University Retirees Association, or MURA, including 2 years as president. Mr. Chancellor, the McMaster campus culture that has seen our university ranked consistently at the top of the Globe and Mail Student Experience rankings is the product of generations of staff, faculty, and volunteers who have committed themselves to creating and sustaining an environment for students based on engagement, inclusiveness, and support. John Paul Evans, better known to decades of McMaster students as Jack, is one of the leaders of that university-defining movement. I ask, Mr. Chancellor, that you confer upon Mr. Evans the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
John Paul Jack Evans, by the authority of McMaster University Senate, I have the great pleasure to confer upon you the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa in McMaster University, with all of the rights and privileges pertaining to that degree. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Evans has agreed to say a few words. So, Dr. Evans, the platform is yours.
Thank you, President Dean, for your gracious citation. I recognize most of it, but not all of it. Congratulations to all the graduates for your achievement. I am very pleased to share this special occasion with you. Like you, I have many people to thank for their support: family, colleagues, and friends. My family's presence at this convocation means more to me than words can express. During my 25 years as an administrator at McMaster University, I was honored to work with outstanding colleagues and associates, including 5 university presidents. I was also responsible for working with students and student leaders, primarily in the McMaster Student Union, but as well with other student organizations. It is with great pleasure that I remember the many meetings and social events with students and their many contributions to our great university. I continue to believe that the education of students is central to the mission of the university, and this includes their engagement in university governance. Their academic studies and extracurricular experience at McMaster gave them the foundation and passion to further their dreams. I am happy to count many of them as my friends. I'm also very glad to continue supporting current and future students by contributing to student scholarships and financial aid. After I retired, I came to appreciate even more directly the dedication of professors and students engaged in the excitement of learning by participating in many undergraduate courses and seminars. Learning is truly a lifetime journey. In closing, let me leave two thoughts with each and every member of the graduating class and with my grandsons, Evan, Braden, Jacob, and Wyatt. Let the force be with you. Live long and prosper. Sheshe.
Thank you very much, Dr. Evans, and thank you for your contributions to this university over 25 years. Your spirit lives on, so I wish you all the best, good health and success in retirement. Congratulations again.
Mr. Chancellor, by the authority of the Senate of McMaster University, I have the honor to present Francis Fox Piven. Francis Fox Piven taught in the School of Social Work at Columbia University and the Department of Political Science at Boston University before moving in 1982 to the Graduate Center of City University of New York, where she is currently a distinguished professor of political science. She has been a visiting professor across the United States and in Europe, and her list of fellowships includes the Guggenheim Fellowship, the American Council of Learned Societies Fellowship, and the Fulbright Distinguished Lectureship. Dr. Piven is a leading scholar on poverty and the welfare state, social movements, and electoral politics. She has written or co-written a dozen books and numerous contributions to scholarly journals and popular media. She's probably best known for the books Regulating the Poor, which received the C. Wright Mills Award, Poor People's Movements, and Why Americans Don't Vote, all co-authored with her late husband, Richard Cloward. These works and others analyze issues like voter suppression, social movements, and the role of social activism in bringing about institutional and policy change. One of Dr. Piven's central philosophies is reflected in the title of her 2006 book, Challenging Authority: How Ordinary People Change America. Dr. Piven's contributions to her scholarly colleagues and her professional organizations have been significant. She has been the Vice President of the American Political Science Association and President of the Society for the Study of Social Problems, the American Sociological Association, and Planners for Equal Opportunity. She has served on the editorial boards of no fewer than 16 different respected scholarly publications, ranging from the International Journal of Health Services to The Nation magazine. A dedicated volunteer, Dr. Piven has served on the boards of organizations, including the American Civil Liberties Union and the Democratic Socialists of America. She played key founding roles for the National Welfare Rights Organization and the Human Serve Fund, that's Service Employees Registration and Voter Education Fund. Her work on voter registration was instrumental in the passage of the National Voter Registration Act of 1993, which simplified the process of registering to vote. In fact, she stood with President Bill Clinton as he signed the bill into law. Dr. Piven has also filled vital roles with the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the Committee for Public Justice, the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights, the Institute for Labor Education, the Wellspring Fund, and dozens of other organizations. Reflecting her many accomplishments and her stature in several social science disciplines, Dr. Piven has been a recipient or co-recipient of numerous prestigious awards, among them the ASA Distinguished Career Award for the Practice of Sociology, the Charles McCoy Career Achievement Award of the Caucus for a New Political Science of the American Political Science Association, the inaugural Outstanding Contribution to Political Sociology Award from the Political Sociology section of the American Sociological Association, the Significant Lifetime Achievement in Social Work Education Award from the Council on Social Work Education, the Presidential Citation Award of the American Public Health Association, and from the Society for the Study of Social Problems, the Lee Founders Award and the Gittler Award. Mr. Chancellor, Frances Fox Piven has been a leading and often provocative voice in the social sciences and an advocate for progressive political positions that have helped develop vital social movements. For her scholarly, social, and political contributions to our society, I ask that you confer upon Dr. Piven the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
Frances Fox Piven, by the authority of McMaster University Senate, I have the great pleasure to confer upon you the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa in McMaster University, with all the rights and privileges pertaining to that degree. Congratulations to you. It's now my great pleasure to invite Dr. Piven to deliver the Convocation address. Dr. Piven.
This is a very important day. It's important for the students who are graduating, who have worked very hard to reach this graduation day. It's an important day for your parents, for your aunts and your uncles, who have probably worked even harder and have had to show a kind of tenacity that is quite remarkable. And of course, it's an important day for your professors who have helped you along the way. Everyone here deserves congratulations. This is a day for celebration. But also on this day, it is customary for people like me to make speeches, which I am now doing, to make speeches about the world that you, the graduates, are entering. And those speeches follow one of two formulas. The first and the older formula, the formula that was dominant in my day, was a formula in which the speech maker celebrated not only the graduates, but all of those who had come before, the generation after generation of leaders who had made us into such a wonderful community, into a wonderful society, a great nation, who celebrated all of us, our leaders, and the world that they created. We lived, said this commencement speaker, in the best of all possible societies. We were making progress on all fronts. Not only were we a prosperous society, but it was a prosperity that was broadly shared, and we supported the policies through which those who were somewhat unfortunate, or perhaps who were old, or were orphaned, or disabled, could also share in that prosperity. We were also the best of all possible societies because we were deeply democratic, and we listened to all the voices in our society. We were inclusive. And we were making great progress on scientific and technological fronts. We had come to dominate nature, and dominate nature in the interests of all of us. And we were a peaceful society, bringing peace to the entire world. And this was the kind of society in which this commencement speaker of yore to which the speaker was welcoming the young people who had graduated. Well, that kind of commencement speech isn't made so often these days. Now we hear a different kind of speech. It's a speech about the challenges faced by you young graduates, challenges that you have to somehow live up to and master. It's the challenges of spiraling inequality in our societies, the challenges of deepening poverty, of the exclusion that has always accompanied extreme poverty, challenges to our democratic institutions, challenges made evident by the rise of propaganda and the floods of money that penetrate and corrupt our electoral system, or the challenges that have resulted from the interaction of technology and science and profiteering with nature, the blowback of global warming and pollution and climate extremes, or the challenges of world peace. Should we move into Syria? We already have armies, not just the United States, but also Canada, in too many places in the world. Well, so the second kind of commencement speaker says to the young graduates, you, not that you will take your place in a flourishing and accomplished society, but that you should fix your society, that you should somehow cope with the problems that have accumulated from the generations that came before you. We older people messed it up. You fix it. Well, that's not fair, is it? Well, I suppose it isn't fair, but you know, it can't be helped. We did it, we messed it up, and all there is our communities, our nation, our planet. We've got to fix it. So you have to engage the struggle for reform and transformation. I'm sorry for my cohort that we didn't do very well. It's too late for me now. It's your job. And you know, the problem of fixing it, the problem of reform and transformation always falls to the young in every generation, in every century. It falls to the young because you have the energy, You have the imagination. You also have the moral fervor. And you have a kind of freedom. You have a kind of freedom because you're not yet saddled with the mortgages and the debts are not yet so large. You have the energy, the imagination, the moral fervor, and the freedom to work as earlier generations did to end war. Who ended the war in Southeast Asia? It was a movement led by the young. Who led the environmental movement that did, in fact, clean our rivers and our air? That was accomplished. Who led the struggles that led to worker rights, protections for the poorest in our society? What's good in our societies was the achievement of struggles led by the young, was the achievement of activist earlier generations. So that's your job. And you know, there's an upside to it. It's not just that we're saddling you with the problems we allowed to grow. The upside is this. Instead of becoming an overweight banker or a general with all those ribbons, with all that pomposity and all that obliviousness of others, you will live a life, if you take on these challenges, of effort, of struggle, and of joy. And that struggle and that joy will come from reaching out to the peoples that have been excluded from our societies, of linking arms with them, with those who are struggling, for example, to make the planet green again, to make not only our water clean and our air clean, but our food wholesome and our doctors honest. Instead of standing with the predators who may have big houses and big bank accounts, the predators who are gobbling up the resources we should all hold in common, you will stand with all of us, and especially with those who are the down and out. And you can do this whatever the career you choose. You can do this if you are engineers. You can do it if you're a businessman. You can do it if you're social workers. You can do it if you are academics, because these great struggles will require all of us. We'll suffer defeats along the way, but I think if we join together, we'll also make progress. And we'll have comrades. And ultimately, we will have the exhilaration of a life spent in making an impact on our world and improving it, if only a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Piven. The challenges that you've pointed out to our graduands here today are real, and they're serious, and they do require everything that you mentioned: imagination, energy, freedom, so on. But at the end of your talk, you also talked about how these become opportunities for us together to deal with and solve some of these problems. And I certainly would join with you in putting the challenges and the opportunities to this group of younger people in the hopes that when the next commencement speaker comes to address a group of graduands, that some of the challenges may have been addressed and some of the opportunities may have been taken up. But your words of inspiration and wisdom are a challenge, certainly, to all of us. And I appreciate that, and we appreciate your honoring us by your presence today. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Good job.
Dr. Patrick Dean will now come forward to present the graduands to our Chancellor for admission to their degrees.
Will the graduands please stand? Mr. Chancellor, on behalf of McMaster University Senate, I present to you these candidates in order that you may confer the appropriate degrees upon them, and I bear witness that they are worthy and suitable.
Graduands, by my authority and that of the McMaster University Senate, I have the great pleasure to admit you to your individual degrees in McMaster University with all of the rights and privileges pertaining to those degrees. My sincere congratulations to you all. Please be seated.
Mr. Chancellor, on behalf of McMaster University Senate, may I also request that you confer the appropriate degrees in absentia upon all those candidates who have successfully completed the required course of study, but who are not present.
I declare all these degrees conferred in absentia.
Graduates, I now ask each of you to join me on stage so that the Chancellor and I can welcome you into the McMaster community of scholars.
Ladies and gentlemen, so that each graduate's name may be heard, it would be appreciated if during the presentation of the graduands you would hold your applause to the end of each degree category. Thank you. Megan Elizabeth Mary Burchell. Catherine Ann Patterson. Jessica Hope Franklin. Mark Stephen Williams. Mr. Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Master of Arts. Liliana Chamacho. Raj Arjun Paleja. Laura Lee Mary Nemilovich. David Cox. Lisa Fiorino.
Mr. Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Bachelor of Arts Honors. Yasmin Abdullah. Reem Abid. Nabil Suleiman Adamu. Anika Ahmed. Ejay Noor Akok. Elahozino Akporuno. Muna Shafiq Rashid Al-Switi. Eodeji Alabi. Aisha Ali. MD Shah Amir. Janelle Apiyati Kubi. Mackenzie Armstrong. Caitlin Bainbridge. Christina Batista. Anna Blazek. Kanisha Boheni. Anthony Bodine. Sean Borthwick. Michael David Bowering. Connie Bozzelli. Samantha Angela Brocoy. Sean Christopher Bulger. Sarah Byers. Courtney Diana Cameron. Jason Campana. Kristen Nicole Campbell. Shauna Brianne Cant. Samantha Chadwick. Keenan Clinton Chiatow. Nicole Carolyn Chutko. Ingrid Diana Chiabataro. Jessica Como. Ginger Elizabeth Coyle. Courtney Corsane Craigie. Ian Andrew Creerer. Spencer Crockford. Ronaldo Kunanen. Heather Catherine Curtis. Joe De Silva. Pietro De Fina. Mark Robert Desormeaux. Gabriela DeSanto. Luke Richard John Doherty. Jeffrey Adam Doucette. Jessica Duckworth. Dahlia Elawad. Olawatobi Olamide Fagbure. Teddy Michael Hendry Fedoran. Warren Fregata. Caroline Fram. Samantha Jacqueline Gallipo. Victoria Felicia Genicaro. Simon David Granite. Kaylee Ann Gregoire. Simondique Kaur Gruel. Michael Gruchen. Nicole Hand. Devin Jonathan Hart. Jacqueline Hogeveen. Christina Iannozzi. Jocelyn Ip. Salina Irani. Ramsha Jamshed. Alessandria Gabrielle Jenkins. Kelsey Diane Irene Johnson. Mohammed Nais Juzhar. Christopher Kendall. Monica Khalil. Otri Khan. Dana Razia Khan. Nabila Nawar Khan. Jacqueline Lee Kovacic. Igor Kremenjas. Heather Suzanne Kunkel. Jovane Romoy Lashington. Caillou Christopher Lee. Jing Lin. Zakar Lopatnik. Eugene Luncher. Laura Alexandra Macusi. Jaswant Kaur Malhi. Hina Malhotra. Sarah Mallow. Matthew Anthony Mancuso. Pavandeep Man. Enid Mariana Yagam. Sarah Allison McCready. Catherine McNamara. Ramiz Mian. Kyle Lindsay Miller. Stefan Mirkovic. Ali Mohid. Moj Mohammadi. Danya Mojahdidi. Patrick David Moores. Julia Moskal. Noor Nawabit. Preeti Nayak. Nahian Jawad Nazmul. Kristen Nagel. Alana Lynn O'Hara. Emily Anderson Bourne. Terence Ong. Alexandria Sarah Palazzo. Marianne Simone Palmer. Nathan Pellich. Amanda Lee Pemberton. Ryan Kamal Persad. Kristen Ann Razilla. Shauna Amber Ravery. Josh Ryanders. Mir Valerie Rivera. Courtney Rosebush. Emma Rubinian. Anna Ruth Suchdev. Huzaifa Saeed. David Saeed. Samira Daking Sanyed Raman. Gavin Schultz. Sylvia Shemashko. Ellen Christine Slavnik. Brittany Sobajeski. Kyle Michelle Soulier. Kiefer Sparrow. Kayla Stepaniak. Kaylee Vanessa Stephenson. Javon Daniel Stewart. Mansanga Tanga. Sloan Marsa Susan Tegman. Anne Marie Temperato. Jordan Lee Norman Tew. Courtney Jasmine Thomas. Christy Thorkelson. Razna Tour. Christian Joseph Tucci. Jessica Christine Van Millingen. Amanda Varias. Irene Muthuni Washira. Jessica Elizabeth Wagner. Ryan Ronald Weinberger. Jin Li Wang. Cassandra Celeste Josephine Westman. Kylie Alicia Willis. Vinod Benjamin Wimalanath. Kasha Waral. Zhu Yang Zhu. Omar Ramsey Zarkut.
Mr. Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Bachelor of Arts. Elizabeth Lynn Allaby. Dawood Acha. Y. Lam Ao. Ahmed Kamal Ali Bagabar. Matthew Bago. Sukhpreet Kaur Banwait. Ian Edward Barnard. Christopher Felice Bartolomeo. Samantha Jean Beach. Edward Beh Bahani. Manpreet Bar. Jade Nicole Bryan. Amanda Marie Burke. Joseph Calandrino. Pang Bing Zhao. Michael Latmam Chen. Shivana Chawla. Shui Ning Chen. Wan Chi Chung. Ai Jung Cheng. Ju Mai Chung. Ye Ming Cui. Anna Kulik. Janessa Massell Davis. Gabrielle Del Bello. Johnny Del Bello. Gurjit Dallowell. Suruthia Diagamurthy. David DiPaolo. Zarinka DiVincenzo. Karam Khan Engen. Nicholas Fudas. Gina Grata. Nathan Montgomery Giles. Taylor Ryan Gilmore Highland. Michael Houlihan. Jonathan Huber. Syed Bilal Hussein. Timothy Ip. Tamima Jalali. Stefan Jantz. Maya Manish Kanani. Duyuk Kang. Nadia Kalik. Emma Kristen Kilt. Karina Devi B. Kisun. Brett William Clages. Ting Yen Kuo. Kristen Elizabeth Kwarczynski. David Chi Ho Lam. Alina Latif. Ka Yan Ruby Lau. Xian Li. Pengding Long. Willie Liu. Husnia Ludin. Brian Harrison Marchuka. Max William Messiah. Malin Maverick. Allison Linda McDevitt. Ling Di Ming. Joseph Miela. Jessica Erin Morris. Patrick Mullen. John Naismith. Tianola Onabanjo. Babajidi Onaboti. Belma Parak. Matthew Michael Charles Pawelke. Saley Ravo. Ray Marie Gabrielle Judith Rostant. Karishma Suberwal. Kiran Sangha. Xiaoyu Shen. Corey Lee Shrubsall. Yuan Shui. Joanne Marie Starr. Hamza Syed. Chi Kin Tam. Jerica Hope Thomas Hill. Tara Lynn Thompson. Lila Elizabeth Tusnard. Giacomo Antonio Tristani. Evelina Truchan. Alexander William Wetherill. Eric Chin Wing. Jordan Wong. Yidan Shu. Yang Yang Yue. Peng Fei Zhang. Shui Ying Zhang. Yan Ling Zheng. Ya Long Zhu.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to introduce to you Ms. Siobhan Stewart, a graduate of the Bachelor of Arts Honours Program, who will be delivering the valedictory address.
Good afternoon. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of the administration, faculty, staff, friends, honored guests, and most importantly, the McMaster Social Sciences graduating class of 2013. Today, we are gathered to commemorate the last insert blank number of years of our lives at McMaster and to celebrate this momentous milestone. It is my pleasure to be standing before you as your valedictorian, and I'm honored to have received this esteemed task. To begin, I would first like to take this opportunity to sincerely thank all of the individuals who have influenced our time at McMaster, those who would normally not be mentioned. Thank you to the facilities staff who clean and repair our campus each day so that we can continue to experience it. Thank you to any individual who has prepared our food for every late night or rushed meal as we ran to class. Thank you to every administrative assistant or supportive staff member whose guidance provided that extra bit of support that we needed. Thank you to any individual, peer, staff, faculty, community member that worked to improve our student experience during our time at McMaster. Thank you, Hamilton, for sharing your treasures with us. Thank you to our parents and our families for the support throughout our time here. So now that the formalities are over, back to the task at hand. When I first found out that I would be speaking, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to say since my thoughts were all over the spectrum. But then it hit me of how I could put it all together. And so I put a poem or spoken word poem together to share with you, and I hope you enjoy it. We are now a part of the world's 7%, having had the privilege to receive a higher education. Our degrees, not acquired with ease, laying the hardwired foundation of responsibility. You see, deep within our social sciences psyche, in the frontal lobe location, is an ethical societal vocation to fulfill our civil duty and contribute to global unity. In our faculty, there is the cross-section of disciplines examining humanity. We have a particular affection for making social connections, which is needed now more than ever on our globalized planet. Navigating the intricate turns of our world's large international concerns is not an easy endeavor. In order to gain unique insight, we must use our mental might together in collaboration with other academic fields. Global solutions will only be revealed in storms patiently weathered. Good news, your education has not ended. We are all on a journey of lifelong learning, a pursuit, though difficult, I hear comes highly recommended. And though our time as undergrads is adjourning, we must recognize that the tables are turning and spend careful time discerning what is truly important to us. Listen to the yearning for the protection of self-reflection, because personal growth leads to communal growth, and both need our contribution. Make a personal oath to maintain your creativity. Do not fall victim to intellectual captivity. Always ask questions and explore the perplexity of everything. As Aristotle once said, the unexamined life is not worth living. So definitely examine any of your own internal misgivings. It is difficult to live a life free of distraction. We are social beings who thrive off interaction. Let your imagination be the PlayStation for your creativity. Never, ever give up on your dreams or lose sight of who or what or where you want to be. We are not trees solely planted in our realities. We are free to move around and be anything we want to be. But we do have roots, each with our own unique identity, complete with nationalities, personalities, specialties. We should celebrate our individuality and appreciate the relationships found only through building community. This is an exciting occasion filled with transformation. Graduation is a milestone filled with the anticipation of what is to come. Now has come the time to address what has become a particular sore thumb. I have a confession on behalf of my peers. There is a particular inquiry that gets under our skin, stirs something deep within, an inquiry which has become everyone else's obsession. It's now an official common day expression. In those moments, we suppress any and all signs of aggression when we are asked the question, what are you doing next year? Some of us want to do something new, excited for a shifting gear. Some of us have no idea what it is we want to do exactly for a career. All of us need to recall the hard work, sweat, and tears, for in our McMaster memories, we will find strength in our fears and see that nothing is ever as hard as it appears. Nothing is as hard as it appears. Mac is still our home. This is not a goodbye. It will always be our alma mater. And now I think I'll end this poem with an analogy using water. Imagine gazing out at the beautiful horizon while standing on the beach, where the sky meets the ocean, a point and a token thought far beyond our reach. It was only yesterday that grad seemed miles away, that we stood with the sand beneath our feet. But now, at last, we've reached the point where the sky and the ocean meet. And at this mark, we see a spark, and in the distance lies a new horizon, a new start is rolling on with the tides. Thank you, and congratulations to the graduating class of 2013.
So 9 convocations this week, 9 valedictory addresses, each one different from the one before and each with its own unique stamp on what it means to be a graduate. But I think only Siobhan would have had the courage to do it in poetry. So Siobhan, congratulations. And I think you've really captured what I'm sure a lot of the graduates are feeling, both in terms of gratitude for the years that you spent at McMaster, a sense of mission going out into the world, and a determination to live an examined life. So thank you very much, Siobhan. I would now like to call upon our President, Dr. Patrick Dean, who will present the President's Award of Excellence in Student Leadership.
Would Huzaifa Saeed please come up? In 2009, Huzaifa Saeed was elected by the students of the Faculty of Social Sciences to the Student Representative Assembly of the McMaster Students' Union. Twice elected the MSU's External Affairs Commissioner and named Commissioner of the Year for 2010-2011, Huzaifa provided a thoughtful influence on the MSU, notably through the policy paper on tuition fees he drafted in 2012. He also represented McMaster on the Policy and Bylaws Committee of the Canadian Alliance of Student Associations. With the MSU, Huzaifa served on the Executive Board, the Silhouette Board of Publication, and the Information Systems Committee. He also inaugurated the MSU think tanks to engage students in policy development, launched the Your City survey, and has been a key leader in the MSU's effective use of social media. As the undergraduate student representative on the McMaster Systems Renewal Committee, Huzaifa had a significant influence on the university's IT systems renewal process. He was also involved with the university as a member of the Forward with Integrity Task Force on Community Relations. Huzaifa began his extracurricular contributions to McMaster as a member of the first-year council, where he served as the Education and Community Commissioner. He was involved with the McMaster Social Sciences Society, where his most senior position was Chief Returning Officer. He was also a Brandon Hall Welcome Week rep and a summer orientation rep for the Student Success Center and the Faculty of Social Sciences. Congratulations, Huzaifa. Amazing contribution. You made a big difference in this place. There you go.
May I introduce to you Ms. Karen McQuigg, a representative of the McMaster Alumni Association, who will now deliver the Alumni Association address.
Chancellor Wilson, President Dean, McMaster faculty, fellow alumni, honored guests, and members of the McMaster class of 2013. When we were young, we all had to answer that question: what do you want to do when you grow up? We all had our dreams: firefighter, astronaut, candy inspector. At one point, I was pretty sure I wanted to grow up to be like Arthur Fonzarelli, the Fonz. If you've ever seen Happy Days reruns, if you've never seen Happy Days reruns, Google Fonzie's Jumps the Shark to see what passed for primetime entertainment back in 1977. It wasn't that great. As we get older and work our ways through school and university, the answer to the question probably changes. Some of us find a permanent answer early on, others a little later. Not too long ago, I abandoned my Fonzie dreams and picked a new role model. One of the great things about being part of the McMaster Alumni Association is that you can both find and be role models. You can draw an alumni family 165,000 strong, scattered worldwide. You can provide wisdom to the next generation of students with our Good Advice Project. You can be part of MAC 10, a program for grads of the last decade. You can watch for the alumni magazine, the McMaster Times, in your mailbox or online, or be part of the association's online community. You can follow the association on Twitter, Facebook, and whatever comes next, and access value-added services like home, auto, and life insurance. And of course, you can join your fellow alumni at one of the hundreds of events we organize annually in Hamilton, across Canada, and around the world. The McMaster Alumni Association is here to help you maintain your MAC connections. The Convocation booklet you receive backstage describes the association programs in more detail. And I hope you'll participate somehow at some time, and you'll have the opportunity to realize that MAC grads share a familial connection with McMaster and to each other, and a responsibility to build on the legacy we inherited. If you stay connected and maybe even get involved, you might just find yourself a new role model. I used to want to be the Fonz. Now, when I grow up, I want to be Linton Red Wilson, who is, of course, McMaster's Chancellor and a member of the class of 1962. Dr. Wilson, who presides today over his final convocation ceremony, is what we all should aspire to be: successful, generous, and engaged. For 55 years, he has put his commitment where his heart is and supported McMaster as a volunteer, an advocate, and a philanthropist. He has created opportunities for others, championed a personal mission of service, and acquired infinitely more friends than enemies. He is McMaster's Chancellor. He is the absolute model of a MAC grad, and he is who I want to be when I grow up. Mr. Chancellor, thank you. Thank you for everything. And to the members of the McMaster class of 2013, I welcome you to on behalf of the volunteers of the Alumni Association and the staff of the Alumni Advancement Office, welcome aboard and congratulations.
May I invite Dr. Dean back to the podium to deliver his President's Address.
A question that has been asked many times over the last several years. I'll ask it again. How on earth do you follow Siobhan Stewart to the podium? I'll do my best. The ceremony has been wonderful, as Convocation always is. It has been a celebration of all of you and of your individual achievements, of the McMaster family, in which, as of today, you have succeeded to a different kind of membership, and of our society, which accords to universities a privileged status and generous support, in return for which we provide not only brilliant and energetic leaders for tomorrow, but also the challenging ideas, new ideas, and discoveries that will shape our future. Convocation is a communal event because it celebrates our community, its values, and its aspirations. So this is a time to contemplate where you fit in, not only within the McMaster community, although Karen gave you some good ideas about how you might fit in there, but more broadly, how you might fit in our society, in our world. 3 years ago, at my first McMaster Convocation, I tried to describe where I saw myself fitting in, and I spoke about the idea of education as integrity, about my belief that education is diminished in its value and in its effect when it falls out of touch with the full range, the full panoply of experienced human concerns. So in keeping with that belief, the question I would ask you to consider today is this: where will your university education eventually find its value? Where would you hope to see its greatest effect? How will your life as a proud holder of a McMaster degree intersect with and address the large questions facing our species and our planet? Ronald Dworkin, the eminent legal philosopher from whom I quoted on this platform 3 years ago, identifies the issue in this way. These are Dworkin's words: living must be more than finding oneself pulled by unexamined habit through worn grooves of expectation and reward. And he goes on, no respectable or even intelligible theory of value supposes that making and spending money has any value or importance in itself, and almost everything people buy with that money lacks any importance as well. Those are Dworkin's words. And Dworkin prompts us always to be mindful of the value of what we do, and to understand value in qualitative rather than quantitative terms. Value is something that resides in relationship, in between people and things, people and ideas, people and the earth, and it is to be measured, if at all, in effect. There's another passage elsewhere in Dworkin, which, though rather dark, is also very beautiful. And this is what he says: the only value we can find in living in the foothills of death as we do is adverbial value. It's all about descriptive words. How we live is a question of value. That we live and die, that is merely a matter of fact. Now, Ronald Dworkin died at the age of 81 in February of this year. And in his last major work, which appeared in 2011, he tried to bring together some of the separate strands of his thinking in political philosophy, moral philosophy, the theory of interpretation, and so on. The book has a most intriguing title. It is called Justice for Hedgehogs. Now, the title, as Dworkin points out, actually derives from a line, a fragmentary line, from the ancient Greek poet Archilochus, which was popularized in the 20th century by Isaiah Berlin. And this is how the line reads: the fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing. So for Dworkin, this is read to mean the following. He contrasts two ways of viewing the world. The first, which regards phenomena as serial, separate, and individual, that is the way of the fox, while the second, the way of the hedgehog, sees them as not merely connected, but integrated, not a series, but a singularity. For Dworkin, value is one big thing. Now, I won't try to unpack this assertion in all its complexity, except to refer you back to my assertion that value is something which resides in relationships and that has no existence outside of relationships. At one level, this simply means that the realm of ethics and morals is community, the network of relationships through which we have an opportunity to do more than merely live. It also means that moral and ethical values are of necessity interconnected and interdependent. A life does not realize its potential value through compartmentalization. Ponder this scenario. To be ruthless and uncompromising in the workplace, in the office, and yet at home, loving and solicitous in the bosom of the family. What kind of a life does that amount to? What might we say about its value? If value resides in the adverbs which describe our actions and the adjectives which describe us, how does that equation, which links ruthlessness to lovingness, work out? Does it resolve as 0? Only the hedgehog knows. The point about the hedgehog's view that is worth remembering is this: the value of a life is the sum of its qualitative interactions with the world, immediate and remote, direct and indirect, private and public, professional, recreational. And integrity, as we commonly understand the word, resides in the consistency with which we apply ourselves in all of those realms. We have integrity when we act not according to values that change with circumstance, but as if our value as persons is one big thing. Now, notwithstanding Dworkin's very critical comments about the value of money and what can be bought with it, the world of finance does provide an analogy that is useful for thinking about the project of being a worthwhile human being. Now, in the same way that your accountant, when you eventually have one, won't allow you in the final analysis to separate your assets from your liabilities, won't let you ignore the latter and concentrate on the former just because to do so makes you feel wealthier, the hedgehog insists that in accounting for the value of your being on earth, everything must be counted in. Now, I couldn't help but notice as you crossed the platform that in anticipation of today's convocation ceremony, many of you went out and invested in some new clothes. I remarked earlier that I noticed yesterday someone crossing the platform with the labels still sewn on to the sleeve. But you went out, perhaps, you bought a new shirt, tie, dress, shoes, perhaps. Now, I'm not a shopping theorist or expert, merely like most people, I'm an occasionally enthusiastic amateur. But I know that into your deliberations, as you stood at the rack in the clothes store, will sooner or later have come thoughts about the value of the garment you were thinking of buying. A primary consideration for most people would be the asking price, which, as you move from considerations of affordability and then to use, turns into an assessment of the garment's value to you. Now, typically, the context within which we find and attribute value to a shirt or a dress is actually narrow. It may earn you cachet in some fashionable circle you seek to join. It may say something about you that you once said, or the garment may simply delight your eye, and there's no shame in that. St. Thomas has a very famous saying, which goes in Latin, pulchrum estit quod visum placet, translated as, beauty is that which, being seen, pleases. Beauty is a tautological thing. Value is neither essential nor tautological, however. Things have different value for different people, in different circumstances, and in the kind of commercial moment I've just been describing, the garment becomes a nexus for various intersecting value propositions. Yours, the stores, the manufacturers, the advertisers. It is in the interest of all those people, especially the retailer, to keep the context within which you assess the value of their commodity simple and narrow, to compartmentalize the buyer with the product, so that only value of the most personal kind can be attributed or discovered. Going back to Archilochus's contrast between the hedgehog and the fox, I would say that commerce functions by making foxes of us all. It encourages us to encounter the world serially and without reference to the one big thing. Now, after the April 24th collapse of the Rana Plaza garment factory in Bangladesh, killing more than 1,100 workers, can shopping for clothes ever again be the kind of fox-like, somewhat self-involved activity I've been describing. No doubt for some people it can and will. There will be those, I suppose, whose capacity for compartmentalization is so advanced that exploitation and human suffering expended in the production of a garment does not factor in their assessment of its value to them. I thought of this recently in the men's section of a well-known department store, where for the first time I noticed, because recent events had attuned me to look for these things, that by far the majority of shirts available were made in Bangladesh. Whereas many of us were recently surprised to learn a worker's life is exceedingly cheap to her employer, and where the minimum monthly salary for a garment worker is 3,000 takas, $38 approximately, or, more significantly, approximately half of what my Canadian retailer is asking me to pay for one of the thousands of shirts shipped from that factory. My purpose today is not to debate the merits and demerits of commerce or to venture into the realm of business ethics, where generally it's a good thing for literature professors not to go. Instead, though, I have seized upon the Bangladesh garment workers' tragedy and our daily involvement with it through the clothes we buy and wear as an illustration of why it is impossible to live a good life without taking the hedgehog's view, without understanding that value, as we ascribe it to our lives, to others, and to objects, is one big thing. Or rather, we must at all times behave as if it is one big thing. The inhumane treatment of workers in Bangladesh must be reckoned by me as I assess the value of a garment I'm being invited to purchase. If I do not do that, my own value as a human being is diminished. In E.M. Forster's novel, Howard's End, he has one of his characters, Margaret Schlegel, exhort other members of her family in this way: only connect, live in fragments no longer. In Dworkin's analogy, it is the hedgehog who sees the world in its interconnectedness and who understands his own value in being of the whole and in acting for the good of the whole. So this convocation ceremony provides an opportunity to ask you to take your McMaster degrees and to go out into the world in the same spirit. If not confident in your ability to transform the world, at least determined to live in it with integrity and with dignity. Farewell, hedgehogs. I'm back again, and to your great relief, I have no notes with me. I wish to add my voice to that of Karen, who spoke for the alumni, in taking note that this is our Chancellor's very last convocation ceremony. I should point out it is the 78th at which he has officiated, and today he would have shaken what was approximately the 32,001st hand. A remarkable contribution added to all his many contributions to the life of our university over, as Karen said, many more than 50 years. Please join me this one last time in acknowledging our Chancellor.
Thank you very much, Becky. Thank you very much. Many best to you.
Normally, I am to sum up and read announcements and dismiss the convocation, but I'm quite frankly humbled by the President's remarks and Karen's remarks. It is my last convocation. The shelf life of a Chancellor in our realm is normally 6 years, and this is the end of my 6th year. I can't describe, though, the numbers talk about the development of the university over the years that I've been connected with it, but they don't properly describe the full growth and development of this institution. There are a lot of economics graduates here today. I was a graduate in honors economics in 1962, and there were 2 of us in the class. Needless to say, classes were small, and the convocation, that year 1 convocation, where we now have 11 in the spring and 2 more in the fall, was about 300 students, the whole university graduating. So it's been a remarkable change in the size and scope and development of the university over my 55 years since I came here as an undergraduate in 1958. And so I certainly joined with Dr. Piven in wishing that I was your ages, and had the challenges and opportunities of the world that you're facing ahead of you. And I simply want to wish all of you every possible success in that future. Not only your lives, but others, ours, the whole world depends on it. So go out and get them. All the best. Immediately following the convocation, a reception will be held for the graduates and their guests in Hamilton Convention Center here, Wentworth Room C. Flowers that have been delivered for graduates will be available at the coat check in the main lobby. I'd ask you to please remain standing at your seats until the academic procession and the graduates have left the hall. And I would ask you now to rise and join with me in the singing of our national anthem. After the singing of the anthem, the convocation stands adjourned.
Thank you.